Alfred Hitchcock's 1954 masterpiece Rear Window perfectly captures the unique dynamic that exists between movies and the act of watching them. With each new film we come across, we become voyeurs, peering into the private and exposed lives of all the cinematic denizens within their rectangular borders. But we don't just watch passively. We come to identify with certain characters, judge others, and even juxtapose their feelings and situations with our own. This is very much the case for James Stewart's protagonist L.B. Jeffries, better known as Jeff, who spends his days casually and covertly viewing the goings-on of his neighbors from the safety of his apartment. Jeff remarks that he's in the mood for a little action, and he gets a lot of it when he believes that one of his neighbors has been murdered. Ooh. More than just a tightly constructed murder mystery, Rear Window also serves as a keen commentary on voyeurism as well as romantic relationships, believe it or not. And the film offers plenty of substance to go along with the suspense. In the opening credits of Rear Window, the curtains inside Jeff's apartment rise one at a time, much like a theater curtain slowly revealing the stage behind it. Here, we see the apartment's courtyard as well as the other tenants that dwell within their own spaces, living out their lives like it's golden, as per usual. The opening credits set the tone of the film, for we are about to become voyeurs right alongside Jeff, observing the lives of others from the safety of our seats. Also, the vertical curtains remind one of film strips hanging. What makes the film so endlessly watchable is its economy of visual storytelling. As the camera pans over each individual apartment, we instinctively get the essence of the tenants that live inside, as well as L.B. Jeffries when the camera sweeps over his possessions. We see a broken camera along with some action-packed photographs of race car crashes and nuclear explosions. The broken camera symbolizes Jeff's askew worldview, particularly towards his own personal life, as we'll soon find out. Clearly, the photos tell us that he is a thrill seeker who enjoys watching excitement instead of generating his own. But perhaps the most interesting object among his possessions is a framed negative image of a woman. We see the actual photo on the cover of a magazine right next to it. But why frame the negative image? This represents Jeff's negative view and misgivings of romantic commitment, that is to say, marriage. Confined in his apartment with a broken leg and a nagging sense of restlessness, Jeff yearns for some kind of action, even a little bit of trouble, to gain some kind of entertainment. His nurse, Stella, charmingly played by Thelma Ritter, comes by and offers some sensible, down-to-earth advice concerning his reluctance over marrying his fiancée, Lisa Carol Fremont. Listening to Jeff's eye-rolling excuses for not wanting to marry Lisa, we see that he is prone to over-intellectualize certain situations, which in turn fuels his discontent and his imagination. Jeff complains that Lisa is too perfect for him, that she is too sophisticated for the likes of his gritty, globe-trotting, barely have enough loot to survive next week lifestyle. Stella tries her best to cut through Jeff's mealy-mouthed BS, but to no avail. Now, one might assume that Jeff has good reason for being so reluctant to get hitched. That is until we finally see his lady, Lisa, gracefully portrayed by the gorgeous Grace Kelly, entering the frame like an ethereal beauty out of a dreamscape. With a surplus of high-class style as well as a sweet personality to match, Lisa appears to be the ideal partner for Jeff, as she not only loves him dearly, but also wants the best for him professionally as well. You know, I have to say that watching Jeff's rather apprehensive and apathetic attitude kind of irked me. I mean, come on, here we have Lisa whining and dining him with a lobster dinner, a catered lobster dinner at that, and all this toolbox has to say is, "Lisa, it's perfect, as always." Seriously, dude? You know, some other cats would just bring home a greasy bag with some stankin' ass burgers and fries inside, laced with all trans fats and GMOs. But here, you're getting restaurant's quality culinary goodness right in your own home. But oh no, that's just too good, too sweet, and too much for old Jeffries. talking about why he can't get married.
There's an intelligent way to approach marriage. We've progressed emotionally. People, have different emotional levels.
Ah, shut the hell up, guy. You're making me mad, dude. If only I could reach into the screen and just dirty slap that goofball, I would. I swear to goodness. Are you okay, Victor? Yeah, I'm cool. So anyway, back to the film. So another way Rear Window displays its economy of visual storytelling is how it uses the other neighbors to represent the state of Jeff's relationship with Lisa, as well as the potential of their connection. For example, when Lisa is preparing the lobster dinner, Jeff watches one of his neighbors, a woman he calls Miss Lonely Hearts, who is setting up dinner in her own apartment for an imaginary beau. She pantomimes being romanced, pouring a glass of wine and raising a toast, only to break down in tears. This is juxtaposed with Lisa and Jeff, as considering his ambivalent attitude, Lisa might as well be cooking for one as well. There's also another point in the film where Miss Lonely Hearts kicks out a pushy younger guy from her apartment when he tries to force himself on her. She's wearing a green dress with a black hat. At this point, Lisa is also wearing a green dress with a white hat, paralleling the sense of rejection the other woman feels. The other neighbors include a lone composer who represents Jeff's own professional struggles, frustrations, and dissatisfaction with his own vocation. There's also a quirky middle-aged couple that sleeps on a fire escape and lowers their little dog in a basket to the courtyard below. They seem to be two unique people that are comfortable in their own individual skins as well as around each other. Only in Jeff and Lisa's case, the former may be more true than the latter. Another neighbor is a young, nubile dancer that Jeff nicknames Miss Torso, who occasionally juggles various suitors in her apartment. She is either oblivious or doesn't seem to mind being ogled by other neighbors, particularly Jeff, although as a dancer, she is perhaps used to being seen by audiences. Her body is her instrument, and her movements are the notes that captivate the lens. Below Miss Torso is another woman, a sculptor with a hearing aid. She's working on an abstract-looking statue she calls Hunger. Her sculpture alludes to the emptiness, the lack of fulfillment Jeff and Lisa contend with in their relationship, and her deafness reminds us of Jeff's figurative deafness towards Lisa's declarations of love. The birdcage on the windowsill also alludes to Jeff's imprisonment in his own apartment, and the newlyweds getting it in next door behind their closed blinds represents the unbridled passion that Jeff lacks, which is also symbolized by his leg in a cast, both physical and emotional impotence on his part. Last, but not least, is the married couple across the way, Lars Thorwald, a miserable-looking salesman, and his wife Anna, who is bedridden but still has enough energy for bickering. Their relationship, from what we see, is rocky, to say the least. There's one moment where Lars serves Anna a meal in bed along with a flower, which she rejects with callous laughter. Note how their apartment is presented from Jeff's vantage point. They mostly appear in two different rooms, two different boxes, if you will, which conveys to us their disunion of the relationship. Like Jeff, but to a greater degree, Anna is quite literally boxed in from his point of view, constrained and contemptuous. Eventually, the alarm bells start to go off in Jeff's mind when he sees Lars creeping out of his apartment at late hours of the night. It becomes apparent to Jeff that Lars might have given his poor wife the Dexter Morgan treatment. What, he gave her a bad, unsatisfying finale? Oh snap, yeah, I went there, that final episode was garbage. Well, consider that throughout the film, the camera also functions as Jeff's point of view, his own pair of eyes, if you will. What we see is what he sees, and what we come to believe about the other characters is what Jeff comes to believe about them. So for all we know, there may actually be no cause for concern when we see Lars Thorwald making odd trips late at night carrying a suitcase, or tying up a trunk, or the rolled up mattress in his bedroom, or the large knives wrapped in newspaper, or washing down his bathroom walls to get a bit of the red out, or that dog sniffing around the flowers. Yeah, maybe Rear Window ethics dictate that something has to be done. After all, it's the neighborly thing to do. Watching Rear Window again, I also thought of James Stewart's other Hitchcockian protagonist, Scotty, from Vertigo. In that film, Scotty falls in love with a mysterious woman, or rather, falls in love with the idealized version of said woman. In Rear Window, Jeff's love for Lisa takes on a somewhat disquieting dimension when she decides to risk her own well-being to help solve the mystery surrounding Anna Thorwald's death. There's a point in the film where Lisa ventures off to Lars's apartment and slides a note under his door, narrowly avoiding getting caught when he steps outside and looks around. When she returns to Jeff's apartment, look at his face. He's clearly enamored, and I dare say, turned on, by Lisa's bravery. What makes this moment a bit disquieting is the fact that it took Lisa risking her own safety to rouse Jeff out of his apathetic funk and to finally admire Lisa as a true romantic partner. His previous idea of Lisa as being a prim and proper socialite ill-suited for anything adventurous is now turned on its ear, replaced with a brand new idea, that of Jeff's desire to, quote, need a woman who's willing to go anywhere and do anything and love it. The suspense rises further when Lisa climbs the fire escape in order to sneak into Lars's apartment while he's away in order to dig up evidence. As viewers, we look like Jeff as he and Stella look on with palpable anxiety. Unlike the more passive Jeff, Lisa takes on a more active role in solving the mystery. Now, I have to say that if your woman is willing to scale the side of an apartment's building like Ezio Auditore in Assassin's Creed while wearing a designer dress and expensive heels, you marry that woman today. She's a keeper and a half, son. Also, the suspense of the film reaches higher plateaus in the final act of the film, and the little bit of trouble that Jeff casually said he wanted creeps into his safe haven, erasing the line between passive observer and active participant. Movies like Rear Window are the reason why Alfred Hitchcock is known as the Master of Suspense, and for me it's one of those perfect films in which even if I had the power to, I would not change a single frame of it. It's that good. And hey, here's a question. What is your favorite Alfred Hitchcock film? Whatever it is, leave your thoughts on the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Victor Omoayo, and there's more video essay goodness to be had right here on the Victor Omoayo channel.